Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. A little over half of the people that listen to my YouTube channel happen to be located in the United States, and for all of us, it's election day. Who will win the presidency? Will Donald Trump retain it, or Joe Biden? Well, I'm not going to pretend to know. The polls were not correct several years ago, let's say that. And also, this channel is never going to be political, and that is by design. I have no interest in alienating roughly half of my audience. That's not what this channel is about. But the topic has been talked about in crypto media and on the Twitters quite a bit. Just the idea of what's this election, whether Donald Trump retains the presidency or Joe Biden comes in. What does that mean for the crypto asset class, in particular in terms of price action? And so there were some articles written, including information about what happened to Bitcoin specifically when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton several years ago. And I don't know, maybe people in listening to this and reading these articles are like, those damn Americans. Look at these narcissists thinking that they're just running the world in the price action of Bitcoin and XRP and everything else. I don't know. But I'm just saying, there are articles being written about this. I even saw a bunch of tweets from Vitalik Buterin about this, which I'm not going to cover in this video. But all sorts of people are talking about what this means for the outcome in terms of price action for cryptos. And then you've got one notable individual in the world of crypto who states that regardless of the outcome, doesn't matter, Bitcoin's going to increase 80-fold. Quite literally. Very well-known individual. And I'll share this before even getting into the rest of the specifics of the content. My take, regardless, because I'm not going to pretend to know who's going to win, because I don't even know. Hopefully, polling data in general is trustworthy. I think there's enough data to indicate that. But damn, it was wrong 4 years ago. But I will say, regardless of who wins the presidency and what you think about the implications in terms of the short-term price action, I still believe that the macro trend is in place. Things are still going to go up regardless of who wins, and there's a case to be made, depending on who wins, for the factors individuals are going to consider in terms of, let's just say, diversification in various asset classes. Now, I do want to be clear, I don't have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you absolutely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I just think it's fun to talk about this stuff and engage with the XRP community and make some YouTube videos. It's a fun hobby. That's it. If you would please delicately tap the like button and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, I would appreciate it. XRP is at 23.8 cents. Bitcoin is at $13,785 with the market cap for the asset class $396 billion. And Bitcoin dominance on the climb, at the moment anyway, at 64.49%. I'll tell you that the days where you see Bitcoin dominance like that, if you fast forward a decade, I don't believe it's going to be anywhere near that, not on a regular basis at least. Probably, I mean, there will be a point where this percentage in terms of Bitcoin dominance is just, it's going to be pretty regular, pretty well understood that it's just not going to happen. And not that it doesn't mean that Bitcoin's failing at being a store of value, regardless of what you think of that. It's more so that there are going to be other cryptocurrencies that increase their share of the pie, and it's going to become clear that they have staying power. I fully expect XRP to be one of them because it's solving real-world problems, and as a result, in a more mature asset class, it's not purely going to be Bitcoin dominating. But even in the next market cycle up, don't be surprised if when altcoins start to run, you see Bitcoin dip really, really, really low. Maybe perhaps the lowest it's ever been, which again doesn't even mean Bitcoin's failing. It would just mean that altcoins are outpacing Bitcoin in terms of price appreciation. But Bitcoin got down to about 35% market dominance over the last cycle. And so, yeah, it went back up, but it teeter-totters back and forth, and there's all sorts of historical data to prove that, and there's no indication that I've ever seen that would make me confidently think that's going to change anytime soon. Now, there's this piece, by the way, I just wanted to briefly mention this. This comes from Crypto Newsflash, and it's titled, Ripple Joins Amazon, Microsoft, and Others as a Member of Civic Alliance. And I will just share with you, before I even explain what this is, as soon as I saw this in the description of it, I was just like, is this going to be some sort of stupid partisan thing? Because I hate it when companies get involved, like especially name brand companies, they get involved in political stuff. I'm just like, holy hell, I just want to buy your freaking Big Mac. I mean, I'm not actually purchasing a Big Mac. I'm just saying you got the cut of my jib, right? Whatever it is, I don't need to virtue signal to your customers whatever it is that you happen to think about this. Like, just put your product and whatever out there. And so I was just hoping that this wasn't going to be some sort of partisan thing. And according to this, if this is being accurately described, it's not some sort of partisan thing. And if it's neutral, then okay, hunky-dory, because on the surface, at a minimum, the mission sounds respectable. I'll just say that. Anyway, the piece begins. As Ripple announced a few hours ago, the company has joined the Civic Alliance, which promotes democracy in the United States by encouraging impartial voter participation. The Civic Alliance currently has 936 members and is said to have a reach of more than 5 million employees. The central claim of the alliance is that every American has a voice and should be able to use it. And here's a quote. Each of our companies is unique. Yet we are united by these nonpartisan values. Every American has a voice in our democracy. Voting should be safe and accessible to all. Elections should be fair and transparent. Well, who's going to disagree with that, right? That part sounds perfectly fine. Ripple joins the impartial group of companies such as Microsoft, Amazon, PayPal, Twitter, Reddit, McDonald's, Starbucks, and over 600 other U.S. companies that claim to support safe, healthy, and trustworthy elections. With this in mind, Ripple wrote about this joining via Twitter, and here was their quote directly from Ripple. We believe voting should be safe and accessible to everyone, everywhere. That's why Ripple is 100% in for democracy with Civic Alliance. And so, again, if that's all it is, no beef here. I'm always concerned when it's anything political that people are just gonna or businesses are just gonna go off the rails, and I don't need to be preached to as a customer of anyone. Just saying, keep it out. All right, and then there's this piece from CoinDesk. First mover, 11 election talking points on Bitcoin as Trump futures point to loss. Bitcoin was lower for a third straight day, around $13,500, having fallen back from a fleeting 33-month high of $14,093 over the weekend. Now, in traditional markets, Asian and European shares rose, and U.S. stock futures pointed to a higher open. The yield on 10-year U.S. Treasuries increased 0.03 percentage points to 0.88%, and gold strengthened 0.2% to $1,899 an ounce. Yeah, that's clearly up. I don't think gold price would be where it is. It would not be there if not for what happened with the pandemic globally this year. I can't imagine. And well, not obviously the way that the government responded in particular after that, endless money printing, this and that. It's substantial. It hit an all-time high this year, in fact. So that should tell you something. I'm just saying. And, I think that people are, right or wrong, viewing cryptocurrencies as a potential hedge. I think a lot of people are looking at it that way. I think that's pretty clear, regardless of the validity of that and the way it's behaved historically. I'm just saying. So what about market moves? Well, the U.S. presidential election is finally here. President Donald Trump's Republicans are as convinced that Democratic challenger Joe Biden will lead America down an irreversible path towards socialism and disorder as Democrats are convinced. Another 4 years of Trump could well signal the end of democracy and decency. Look, I'm 37 years old. I'll just say this, and I'm not going to get political. Don't worry, I promise you. I'm not going to do that. But I will just say every single 4 years, there's an election cycle, and every 4 years, it's touted as a life or death situation like this. Oh my God, the sky is falling. If we don't get our candidate this time, the world is over. It's every 4 freaking years. And if you're much younger than me, then you might not recognize that, but you will see this the rest of your life, that every 4 years, this is make or break, as in we might lose our country, this or that. The world's going to fall apart. Hogwash. Bunch of nonsense. People are resilient. Maybe things don't go the way that you want to go, but the world will not fall apart. It's completely... Not for that reason in and of it. It's just... I just don't like the narrative it's painted like as to be that, as if that's the case. It is not the case. It absolutely is not the case. But anyway, a lot of Bitcoiners are just putting their faith in Bitcoin. And this goes back to the concept of, like, for me, especially as an XRP holder, this does nothing, period, to change my strategy as far as holding XRP. It is a non-issue. It functionally does not matter. And so I get it. People are looking to the election to see, oh my gosh, is this going to change this or that? And my humble opinion is, okay, maybe based on an outcome you get some sort of measurable, short-term action. It's not going to change anything big picture. It absolutely will not. I don't believe that for a moment. I'm not even convinced you're going to get anything detectable in the short term. It's possible now, especially if we see all sorts of chaos and the stock market tanks, then crypto could follow. I get that. But really, outside of something like that, are we even going to detect anything? Well, take a look at this. The piece continues. None of this may be justified, or perhaps all of it. First mover decided that the best way to add value as American voters go to the polls was just to jot down a few Bitcoin-oriented talking points. Number one, Bitcoin prices barely reacted when Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in 2016. And they've actually got a chart on the screen. And so, to me, that's not surprising. Which is why I'm just saying here, I mean, in a normal year, I would expect it to be the same again. I'm just kind of wondering, with all the chaos and people are concerned about all sorts of civil unrest, and you know what I'm talking about. Things might be, like, it's as though this country is, like, flammable at this point. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, and I'm not saying that to make light of it. It's just, I'm chuckling because it's just so absurd and ridiculous to me. But if things go ridiculously in that direction, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe there will be something measurable in terms of price action, but there we are. Number two, Bitcoin's price action for the entire month of November 2016 gets completely lost in the longer term chart. And there's a chart on the screen right there. And it's funny because, and I'm not going to read any further, but I read this article and they cite what might happen if you get a quote-unquote blue wave or a quote-unquote red wave, meaning Democrat or Republican, which individual ends up winning the presidency here. And it was funny. Their analysis, what it came down to is, if the Democrats win, spending might increase, resulting in more money printing. And then on the flip side, Donald Trump wins. They wrote, what did they write here? Or maybe it's through spending. That's what they wrote for the U.S. federal budget. Yeah, they're talking about deficits increasing, and then that would result in money printing if there was a blue wave, as they quoted it. And then if Donald Trump won, they wrote that there could be massive tax cuts during a second term, along with massive stimulus, and that would mean the Fed needs to print massive amounts of new money. So there you go, the same outcome according to CoinDesk either way, which doesn't seem particularly sophisticated, and I don't buy that. It's just money printing either way. And I'm not going to get into what I really think about that, because then I would have to delve into more politics, and I promise I'm not going to do that. But I don't agree with that. I will say that. I don't agree with that particular outcome. No. Now, in the short term with the pandemic, there's going to be X amount of money printing regardless. It's more like people arguing about how much, but whatever. And then there's this from Crypto Newsflash. Kaiser, you guys know Max Kaiser. He's a lively individual. And the title here is, no matter Biden or Trump wins, Bitcoin price will rise 80x. The eyes of the world are on the elections in the United States. The economic importance of the North American country is undeniable, especially in a scenario of a global recession caused by the pandemic. The crypto market does not escape the consequences that the election will have. However, podcaster Max Kaiser is optimistic about Bitcoin. In an interview for Crypto Potato, that's a fun name, Kaiser recounts the positions of the current president of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, and his opponent, Democrat Joe Biden. Between the two candidates, Trump has had a clearer position on crypto and Bitcoin. In mid-2019, the president of the United States said he was not a fan of digital assets, that he was unwilling to classify them as money because of their high volatility. Since its beginning, Trump's administration has taken a tough stance, and as the current president's former national security advisor, John Bolton, stated, there were instructions to go after Bitcoin. Well, good news is you can't take out Bitcoin in the crypto asset class, but there we are. However, Kaiser believes that a Trump victory could be positive for Bitcoin. The president is seen as a pragmatic head of state who would take a more pro-Bitcoin position if he were to enter the hash war. That is, in a race to increase the amount of Bitcoin's computer power to compete with Iran and China. Quote, with Trump, who at least understands something about capitalism, the ascent of Bitcoin would be slower, as I believe he would calm markets by having the United States enter the global hash war that Iran now leads, in a Sputnik-like call to enter the hash race moment. Big slice of Bitcoin's global hash rate before our competitors do. I know of several countries that will soon announce major sovereign underwritings of Bitcoin hash rate to try and oust Iran's position. So it's like, does he just think like central banks are going to be mining Bitcoin? Well, I don't know, maybe, man, but there's no sign that the United States is going to be doing anything like that anytime soon, or even holding cryptocurrency as a treasury reserve asset, though. I mean, in the future, I mean, all bets are off. But that's why, for me, it's always going to be all about long-term viability and which cryptocurrencies are solving real-world problems, because those cryptocurrencies that do, I believe, will have staying power. And luckily, XRP has multiple use cases, and that gets, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give that 2 thumbs up. For sure. Unquestionably. 2 big old thumbs. So, interesting stuff here. So, yeah, just in terms of the price action, people are making various predictions about what's going to happen if so-and-so wins. I think, ultimately, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to, unless something horrendous happens over, like, the next 24 hours or so, I don't think that you're going to be able to attribute any sort of price action specifically to this. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it remains to be seen. But outside of that, man, long-term macro trend in place, nothing's going to change that. You know, if crypto, is really solving a problem, if there's real utility and offers something that is not available outside of that technology, what do you think humans are going to do? I mean, if there's real value and it's an asset, then of course there's always going to be an open market price associated with it for as long as it's solving a problem and offering utility, whatever the asset is. And so maybe Bitcoin really will always be a store of value. And maybe XRP really does get to have long-term viability because of its utility. And then in addition to that, will offer utility as a store of value. Because I firmly believe that any cryptocurrency that's going to have staying power, that solves an actual problem, in addition to that utility, people are just going to put their money into understanding that it's a scarce asset. And businesses are, need whatever the use case is. Maybe businesses need it to conduct their business, and there you go. It's going to result in people snatching that up. Supply and demand will do its thing, and it's like, to get people to understand that on a conceptual level, we don't need to overcomplicate things. There's a lot more to be said about it, especially if you're jumping in the space. I mean, I can and do actually talk about cryptocurrencies for hours. Every day, right? You know what I mean? Well, I mean, on a daily basis, I talk more like 40 to 60 minutes on the YouTubes, but man, I spend hours on this stuff because it's that interesting to me. But I don't know. I would love to hear what you guys think in terms of like what's going to happen if whoever wins. What do you think is going to happen? I would really love to hear from you in the comment section. Do you still have the same confidence long-term for the crypto asset class regardless? Do you think there's going to be some sort of notable impact? Tell me what you think I got right and wrong. Would love to hear from you because I do enjoy diversity of thought. But that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.